Our next speaker is very important and is going to tell us a different slant on things that is certainly highly potent and central to what we're trying to do. We're very honored to have John Vonglis, who is acting director of the Department of Energy and ARPA-E. He was confirmed by the U.S. Senate in December of 2017, and he serves as Chief Financial Officer for the Department of Energy. He's also responsible for all matters financial of that department. Additionally, he serves as acting director of the department's Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA-E. The mission of ARPA-E is to advance innovative early-stage, high-potential, high-impact technologies while minimizing risk to the taxpayer. Prior to joining the Department of Energy, Mr. Vonglis was a senior advisor to Cross Range Capital, a boutique private equity firm, and before that, he was senior vice president of finance at Red Apple Group, a $5 billion diversified business where he served simultaneously as chief financial officer of its second largest portfolio company. Before this, he was a practice area leader with IBM, and before that with the Department of Defense. His private sector experiences include senior financial and operational positions within advisory, aerospace, defense, financial services, and high-tech firms. He's also a colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve and advises the Army Cyber Institute at West Point. He's a published writer, has appeared on radio and television, lectured at the U.S. Military Academy, and served on various boards. As a former Eagle Scout, he is active with the Boy Scouts of America. He holds BS and MBA degrees from Fordham University and a Master's in International Public Policy degree from Johns Hopkins. So it's a great honor to have him with us, John Vonglis.
Good morning, everyone. As I think most of us are, we get a little embarrassed when we hear all that because sometimes you turn around and you say, who's are you talking about, me? I mean, really? But again, Dr. Rather, thank you so very much, and thank you for your most generous hospitality and the opportunity to have spend a little time with your daughter, with Gray, with Rick, and many other members that are here with us today. Again, thank the introduction for what I do, for the department, and for ARPA. And certainly appreciate you in inviting me to speak here today and share a little bit of my thoughts on technology synergy and its implications for the spacefaring community, and to touch a little bit on what Morgan said. I too was in a way shaped by the space program. It's funny how life turns out. As a boy, more than wanting to be a policeman or a fireman, which many kids in my generation wanted to do, I wanted to be an astronaut. And my mom would make me Halloween costumes. It's kind of appropriate the season that we're in, and all these shiny silver ones with helmets and all the cool stuff you can get back in the 60s. And I still have my lunar landing lunchbox with the thermos. I'm sure it's worth something. But we were all captivated by that era. We would go to the Hayden Planetarium. My uncle would take us periodically, and we'd check our weights on different planets on the moon and how it would deviate. And it was all cool stuff. But as many first dreams meet reality, I realized you needed to have a really strong command of math and science, and out that went for me. So anyway, it's about as close as I got is being here. But anyway, so as many of you may be aware, ARPA-E, that is the Department of Energy's agency tasked with promoting and funding research and development of early-stage, high-risk, advanced energy technologies. The program is modeled after DARPA, the Defense Department's Advanced Research Project Energy, established back in 1958 to develop emerging technologies for national security purposes, most notably, and the ones that we're most familiar with, GPS and the internet, and many, many other discoveries subsequent to that. Unlike DARPA, though, ARPA-E focuses on energy technology. We have funded at ARPA just under 50 predefined, or what we call focus programs, each with its own concept, such as our ADEPT, A-D-E-P-T, Power Electronics Program, which stands for Agile Delivery of Electrical Power Technology. Each focus program has one or more projects that are funded to address the program's concept. We have also run 3 what we call open funding programs, in which we ask the energy community to come to us with the next big thing. The project selections for the 4th open program, Open 2018, will be announced soon, and we look forward to sharing those with the community writ large. In the aggregate, these are sizable dollar amounts. We fund ARPA-E projects because they have the potential to radically improve how the U.S. generates, stores, and uses energy, which affects everything from our homes and small businesses to the economy and national security. We do this with small amounts of targeted funding, and we stay nimble and responsive to rapidly changing needs and circumstances. So what is the ARPA-E vision? ARPA-E is charged by Congress to keep America safe, secure, and competitive. And I know these are the goals that drive many of you as well. We pride ourselves on being a bottoms-up agency, meaning that our program directors play a large role in determining where we direct our attention within, of course, a few parameters. Just to go through the list of what our projects have to, sort of a checklist, what they must contain. They must relate to energy, of course, it's our domain. They must be backed by good science. They must transform the status quo beyond the scope of other DOE program offices. They must have a component focused on commercialization, which we call tech to market. And they must involve diverse teams with different experiences, specialties, and backgrounds. Our approach, governed by these guidelines, enables us to select technologies with the potential to transform the American energy landscape. A key question we ask about any project before we fund it is, if it works, will it matter? This is where synergy plays a vital role. Many of our projects may seem strange when viewed alone without context. When you consider the possible spillover effects, however, where developments in one sector upend the status quo in another, one captures impact that goes far beyond the original project's intent. With these guidelines in mind, we at ARPA-E prefer the synergistic view because it means at its core getting more with less and stretching the American taxpayer's dollar to get the most from it. So how do we understand this symposium's vision? You are all here to form a new vision of taking America farther into space by 2030. To accomplish this monumental undertaking will require inspirational leadership, public-private partnerships, and a stunning amount of willpower, not to mention a little money. Now, some may say that this is unrealistic. My view, personally, is that it is probably less unrealistic than telling a young person of the early 20th century, before the airplane, that within that person's lifetime, a man will walk on the moon. As Morgan mentioned, given the great space race of the Cold War era, President Kennedy in 1962 charged the nation to put a man on the moon within the same decade. 7 years later, despite significant domestic upheavals and the strains of war, Neil Armstrong planted the American flag on the moon. 7 years. Let's just think about that for a minute. No supercomputers, no CAD, no virtual reality simulators. Considering the challenges back then in doing so, and accomplishing the unthinkable through brain power and ingenuity, the remarkable synergy between and across government, NASA, industry, academia, it is almost embarrassing that we've allowed that lead to atrophy. I understand priorities shift, but a great nation should simultaneously be able to do great things. The rewards of a space-based economy could be big and novel. They could lead to new jobs, historic discoveries and innovations, and all but ensure the continued dominance of the United States as an undisputed global technology leader. Your attendance at this gathering means you believe we can achieve this goal. Doing so means combining existing concepts and technologies in new ways so that they become synergistic, as well as developing new technologies and procedures. It is your goal to generate a roadmap for synergy and technology superiority that will make U.S. interstellar development a shining example of innovative leadership, and collaboration between government and private industry will play a vital role. So how does our vision fit with the Power of Synergy Symposium vision? Simple. We all believe in ideas. Our domain is energy, your domain is space. Even with ARPA-E's concentration on terrestrial energy projects, we've collaborated with NASA in the past to look for technologies that could benefit life on Earth and in space, not that distant from the synergies you're chasing here. DOE developed and provided radioisotope power systems NASA uses in long-term missions from Voyagers 1 and 2 to the Mars rovers. We have seen the effects of synergy in our own work. ARPA-E teams occasionally produce unique, weird, odd, however you want to define them, pairings that accomplish amazing things together. In fact, one of our bioenergy projects, part of the Terra program, uses robotics conceived in the same Carnegie Mellon lab as two of the Mars rovers, Curiosity and Opportunity. They share the same electric motor. A team from Harvard that has now formed a new company looked at the slippery inside of the carnivorous, now bear with me here, carnivorous pitcher plant and saw the chance to create a similar coating that prevents refrigerator coils from icing up. It turns out that barnacles hate it too, and the slips coating does double duty as a marine anti-fouling solution. We believe the private and public spheres work together, as in the case of the Terra robot and the pitcher plant company. And I'm sure you can see the amazing synergies there. Finally, I think this symposium is looking for ways to accelerate America's leap into space. However that materializes, it will undoubtedly require the involvement of multiple government departments, agencies, and private industry working together toward a common goal. We value such public-private partnerships and believe they're an effective way to combine public expertise with U.S. entrepreneurship to achieve shared goals. Your mission is a serious one and an important one, and we are thankful for your efforts to reach out to those whom you consider the essential players in this rapidly developing space race, a new one. I look forward to the findings of the symposium, and I thank you once more for the opportunity to be a part of the beginnings of your efforts. Have a great day.